Sure.
An upcoming thing or whatever? Okay. That makes too much noise. That would be interesting. I know, that's what I'm thinking too. Remember that blue cake that the police department has at their banquet, and look around and everybody's mouth is all blue from the blue cake?
Good evening. Welcome to the City Commission study session. Welcome, everybody. Please turn off or silence all cell phones during this study session. And meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 7 p.m. and midnight. Our mayor, Mr. Jermaine Wilson, and the city manager, Paul Kramer, are in D.C. Now that's why they're not here today. And Commissioner Preisinger will be here just a little bit late, probably in about 15 or 20 minutes. So the first item on our agenda for tonight is the semi-annual report, Leavenworth Public Library.
Tonight we have Library Director Mr. Matt Nogin in, and he is going to give his semi-annual report.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I brought some information that I think everybody might find valuable. I won't bore you with all of the statistics, but I know that a lot of good things are happening at the library that I wanted to talk to you about. What's coming up this year, and to cover a little bit of the progress and the different things that we did last year. Probably the most important or the most notable improvement to public service, our board initiated a fine-free trial period that started yesterday, and it's going to run through the end of September. All existing fines on patrons' cards will be cleared, and no overdue fines will be charged during the trial period. Patrons will still be responsible for fees on lost or damaged items. If you didn't bring something back, you will have to pay to replace it or return it. And donations will be accepted in lieu of fines if the patron chooses. The main reason they did this is just to remove financial barriers to people using library services. There are people whose cards are blocked because they owe us over $10 in fines, which seems self-defeating. You know, we want everyone to come back and use the library. If all you did was bring back something late, then this will free them up, especially a lot of kids who probably don't have money, or parents who maybe have multiple kids at home and can't afford to pay off, you know, what might end up to be $30 or $40 of fines. The financial impact is not going to be great. Last year, fines represented less than 1% of our total revenues, and they've been dropping consistently since 2011. It's dropped about 28%. So the amount of revenue, I guess, that you say that we're sacrificing is nothing compared to, I think, the benefits of providing service to hopefully a lot of people who will be back in the good graces of the library. Those fines also block access to online information if you have a $10 or over. So we'll have a lot more people able to take advantage of some of the online services we offer, books on audiobooks, ebooks, educational databases, and things like that. We're keeping track of a lot of data. I went through the kind of reports that are available through the automation system that we use so that we can track the progress of this. Are the number of items that are returned late, does it really dramatically increase? Or is the return rate dropping, or more people keeping more things out longer than they should? Then I think the data is going to determine whether or not we continue. We were one of the last libraries in this area to charge fines, and I know that the Lansing Library, when they learned that we were dropping fines, did the same thing. And there's a lot of crossover between our two libraries. So roughly 20% of our people who have Leavenworth Library card actually live in Lansing. So this is going to benefit both communities. The summer reading program plans are taking shape. Just about everything has been squared away. The summer's theme is the universe of stories, and the events at the library will kick off on Saturday, June 1st. We have an ice cream party scheduled with a very popular children's entertainer named Mr. Stinky Feet. As you can imagine, the kids enjoy that quite a bit. I think even just saying it, they probably get a kick out of that. There are several special events through the summer. Wings of Love, one brings over birds that the kids get to see, and she talks to them about what they are, where they come from, their habitat, and their lives. Walking on the Moon by Mad Science will be at the library on the 5th of Wednesday, June 5th. Every Which Way by Science City on July 24th. Both of those programs are in keeping with the science and the space theme. We're doing something different for the wrap-up part. We always do either something inside or outside the library. We decided this year we're going to do a pool party over at Woolman Park. So we have that arranged, and every child who reads, who it's the first goal of reading for the summer program, will get a pool pass for them, 3 family members, and if they have multiple family members, they can get another pass and then bring more people along. So we're hoping that that'll be something different. It's fun to have things done in the library, but the library is not exactly built for a big crowd at one time, and a lot of kids. It can get kind of crowded and a little hectic. So we're hoping this will give the kids a chance to really have fun, get a nice little reward for the reading that they did over the summer. We're hosting our 3rd annual fundraiser on Friday, June 7th. We're hosting Chris Burnett and his jazz quintet, something we've done every early June for the last few years. Tickets are $25 each, $30 at the door. There will be wine and beer and appetizers. And again, this is something that the commissioners kindly changed some ordinances to allow us to do this, as long as we don't allow, it's always after the library closes, and no minors, of course, are allowed. These have been pretty successful. We've always made money on these events on an annual basis, and I think it's just a lot of fun, too. It's something different that happens at the library, and we've had as many as 100 people in there at one time. Again, the library's not exactly an auditorium built for great sound, but I think we turn and get some mood lighting and do our best.
For the money that you do make, what do you use that money for?
We usually set that aside for programming. We have a lot of donations. The community's great when it comes to donating cash, checks, and prizes and things like that for the Children's Summer Reading Project. But the adult summer reading is something that our Cindy McGuire, our marketing programming librarian, has been trying to grow for several years. And it's harder to get people to donate for programs that are for adults. So this is a little bit of a fundraiser, mostly for her purposes. And she has a lot of things going on with the adult program, too, this summer. She hosts regular book discussion groups through the Kansas, I think it's not called the Humanities Council anymore, it's just Kansas Humanities, I think. So she has things going on all year round, and this will help fund some of those activities. We've been working a lot with the Leavenworth City School District, as not only as part of their grant, which is really encouraging literacy and getting books in kids' hands, but I think it's just a great partnership in general, because we're kind of operating in different sides of the same street. They educate, they teach, literacy is fundamental to what they do, and we can supplement and help what they do. We've had a teacher bring her kids in from Brewer Elementary. We have met with the school, with the elementary school principals and administrators to talk to them about summer reading and provide information about the kind of tools that we have that they can use. And we're going to join at Anthony Elementary every Thursday in June for 4 weeks. We're going to go do outreach with a group of kids that comes to their it's a form of summer school over there. I think they're going to focus mostly on music for those events, but we'll be there to read them stories and again, try to provide what they call the summer slide, which is when you're out of school and you're not reading, all the skills that you gained the year before get rusty, and our goal is to keep kids interested in books, keep kids reading, and provide all the activities and all the fun that will attract kids during the summer. We've been able to also successfully issued a lot of cards to school administrators and teachers who did not have them before. And we're really hoping that they'll put those cards to good use, not only with tools that we offer, but again, the State Library of Kansas has great resources for kids and teachers. Professional development tools that we offer, such as lynda.com. And just plain fashion ebooks and e-audiobooks, people that, just for sheer entertainment value. So we're doing our best, as we always do, to market library services, to inform people about what's going on at the library. Our atrium project is underway. They put the plywood barrier up, and they've been, they have the glass out now. They have it nicely covered in plastic so that the carpet that would be exposed to the rain will be protected. I think I was speaking with one of the gentlemen today, and he said it may be a week, maybe 2 weeks for them to get that done. We've had several people come in potential contractors who want to bid on the restroom renovation project. So thank you very much. I've said it probably a million times, but it's great to work with a body of people who really look at the library as an important resource, not sort of a tail end thing that, you know, only needs a little money once in a while. And it really helps to have a facility that's maintained and people who really do support the organization and support our facilities. And it's great. And we appreciate it. Again, I don't want to belabor any statistics. I think there's plenty for you there if you want to do a lot of homework.
The summer program looks like a lot of fun, the kids' program. That's
It-
exciting. There's a lot going on there.
The kids really enjoy it. The ice cream, my wife and I usually volunteer to do the ice cream, and they get, it's just really fun to see that many kids that excited about a library and about reading and the things that don't involve video games or
Yeah.
car chases.
Right.
It's only in your head.
Are all your key positions filled?
We are looking right now, we have a position that opened up, a young woman left to take another position, so we have a full-time job that's open. The applications are all due by the 8th. We have a few candidates in now. We're going to begin scheduling interviews for that position. But so far, so good.
When you mentioned the state library, is that, is there one state library, or is there, did you mention, is it a state library system or the state library?
Every state has actually a state library in the state capital. Their primary purpose is to be the library for the legislature. So they collect and maintain all the government documents, so everything that the folks in Topeka generate, reports and regulations and everything. They also serve as a clearinghouse for federal library grant money that is distributed to all 50 states. And they offer a lot of, most state libraries invest heavily in databases that all residents of the state can access, because those are really out of the price range for most individual libraries.
So if a teacher, like at the high school level, I mean, if they have a card from the library, they could access that?
This actually requires a separate state library card, which we can offer to everybody for free. It's different in Kansas. Everywhere else I've ever been, if you had a local library card, that would provide your access. But in Kansas, you have to have a state library card, which is painless, takes about 5 seconds. They're good for 3 years, and you can log in from home to just a wealth of great databases.
Yeah, I was just thinking as a resource maybe for some of the high school teachers, but.
That's exactly why we want to make sure that we tap into those people and let them know that there's some great things out there, especially for high school level students. They have practice tests. You can go online if you're about to take the SAT, the ACT, the ASVAB, or any of these career or college related tests. You can practice them for free whenever you want to from home to prepare for those. There's even a car repair database if you need to. I know 72 Bonneville would have been nice to have that around back then.
Any other questions for our library director? Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Thank you very much.
For your
Good
report,
presentation.
really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. And our next agenda item is a semi-annual report from the Leavenworth County Development Corporation.
Tonight we have Mr. Steve Jack, the Executive Director.
Hello, Steve.
evening.
How you doing?
I'm good. See if we can get this warmed up.
Yeah, oh.
All right, here we go. It's a pleasure to be here
Thanks for coming.
tonight. And let me start off by saying, Matt had told you he didn't want to belabor you with lots of statistics, so let me see if I can.
Fill that void?
Yes.
Darn.
I have a few to start off with. I hope that's okay. Should be pretty straightforward. These are very recent unemployment rates as we've looked at these in presentations past, just as a check to see where we are. It's not the only measure, but it is a measure. February of last year, we're at 3.5% unemployment in the state of Kansas, and we dropped just slightly, 3.4%. In Leavenworth County, we picked up just a notch, 0.1%, from 4.2 to 4.3%, and went from 34,659 employed, and actually the employment went up, so the labor force must have also increased.
Right.
The city of Leavenworth went from 4.5 to 4.7, and dipped slightly from 13,371 to 13,323. The balance of county went from 3.9% to 4.1, and so the two together, the 4.7 and the 4.1, balance out to or average out to 4.3. So the increases that we saw, a couple hundred, came from the balance of county. The county unemployment map, and I think you have this in your packet. The numbers are a little hard to see, but I'll tell you, and you can see by the color coding, anything above, or that very dark color, and actually there's one, and actually there's nothing 9.1% and up, but that very dark over on the right, Missouri border is Lynn County. They're the highest in the county, and they're 8.6% unemployment. Bourbon County, Fort Scott right below them, 5.4% unemployment. Woodson, just a couple counties over in southeast Kansas, 5.3. Coffee County right above it, 6.0. In our area, we're at 4.3, and Atchison above us is at 5.2. Wyandotte County's at 5.3, so we're between two relatively high unemployment areas. Our 4.3% ranks 16th highest in out of 105 counties in the state. Johnson County is at 3.2, and Douglas County is at 3.4. So we're not quite as high as Atchison and Wyandotte, but a little higher than Douglas and Johnson, and really kind of close to Shawnee. They're at 4.0. Those counties out west, it's unbelievable. Scott's at 1.9% unemployment, and they're not very many people in some of those counties to begin with. So we're talking, you could do not statistics, but names of people who are unemployed in some of those counties that have 2.0, 2.2, 1.9% unemployment. This is something crossed my desk that I thought I'd share with you. The population change. Of course, we're interested in employment, but one of the things that we're also interested in is growing in terms of new people moving in. We're a magnet if we're growing. We're not if we're declining in population. And only 18 counties out of 105 counties grew from the 7+ years between April of 2010 to July of 2017. It's just extraordinary that only 18 of the counties have grown. The counties that grew the fastest are Douglas, Pottawatomie County, Wamego, close to Manhattan, 10.66% increase in those 7 years. Douglas County at 8.99, Johnson County 8.64, and even though we're right above Douglas and Johnson and have a different color, we're in the next category. We're actually the 4th fastest growing county in the state in the last 7 years at 5.22%. The state average is at 2.1%. So that shows a pretty healthy economy. A lot of building happening, particularly in the south part of the county. Now, projections, Wichita State, and I'll talk about their Community Outlook event that's coming up. This is an analysis that they did, projections for the next, it's a 30-year period, but from this point, 2019, the next 25 years. Leavenworth County is projected to be the 5th fastest growing county in the state, and will grow at 34.3%. Johnson County and Pottawatomie County are the two fastest growing, at least in projections. Potawatomi should increase by 59.2%. That could be NBAF, it could be K-State, could be the Fort, because Geary County is also 42.7% projection. But we're at 34.3%. Wyandotte County, just next door, 4.9%. So it is extraordinary when you see all the commercial growth in western Wyandotte County. It hasn't really translated into the same kind of growth in terms of population. So those.
What
Yeah,
are they?
go ahead.
What are they saying in terms of the 2 or 3 major factors that would? Because I think it's 34.3 for Leavenworth County. Do I have the number right there?
Yes, 34.3%. Yeah.
Just it's a pleasant surprise, but it surprised me a little bit. So I was just
Well,
wondering.
part of it is we have the good fortune of being in the
Right.
Kansas City metro area,
Sure.
which has all sorts of assets. We are a magnet, the metro area, both sides. There's lots to do. If you were, it isn't all coming from western Kansas, but you can imagine all those counties that show up in light yellow, which is actually, I think, the light yellow is minus 15% to 15%.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but the others, the dark red is less, 30% decline. And then the pink, if you can imagine all those people moving toward the urban center in our area. So that's certainly part of it. And then, to a certain degree, we have a lot more land. We have more places to build than Wyandotte County. So if you just look physically, there's some commercial areas and there's growth, but you may build an office building, or Cerner may build an office building in Wyandotte County, but the folks working there live in here or in Basur and in Tonganoxie, so.
Do you have the stats for the state overall?
Yeah,
What does it look like?
the overall 11.6%
Increase
increase,
for 30 years, that's all?
yes.
That's not,
Yes.
that's like 300,000 people, right? 320,000 people.
Yeah.
I bet we'll go down 3 congressional districts pretty.
Oh.
Yeah, 2030 census, I bet it's 3 congressional districts.
That's very possible. So our growth will be 3 times the state average.
Okay, that's good.
But clearly it's a tale of two sides. More urban. Sedgwick is at 8.3% growth. That's or 18% 3. That's modest. But Geary, Potawatomi, Douglas, Johnson, Leavenworth, or Atchison next door is projected to decline by 30%, while we increase by 34%. So, I'll give you some updates about what's happening in our neck of the woods. We have a new LCDC president since I last, some of you know that already, but since we appeared before this body, Harlan Russell from GBA, and we're thrilled that Harlan is now taking the helm at the top position in our organization, volunteer position. We have some new LCDC investors. Bartlett and West Engineering in Lawrence has become a member. McCowan Gordon Construction, a large construction company in Kansas City, and American Family Insurance, both Brett Miller and Trent Peter from Leavenworth and Lansing. So I wanted to mention that partly because I want to give a shout out to the local guys, because we enjoy that, their membership, but also we're interested in the interest, and we want to cultivate that interest from companies like Bartlett and West and McCowan Gordon, because that's a sign, I think, and GBA is a Lenexa firm that does nationwide work. When you've got large engineering and construction companies interested, Crossland Construction came. They had a couple of representatives checking us out at our last LCDC board meeting. So that's exciting to us that there's some people that might bring us opportunities. Of course, they're looking for opportunities from us, to make a buck, and hopefully it'll be a win-win. And then finally on this slide, we want to welcome back Baser. They took a year off from membership and investment in our organization. They hired a new city administrator who believes in partnership as we do. And so Leslie Riverola, one of the first things she did within the first 2 or 3 weeks was to call us up. We had lunch, and I had the hard sell ready to go and didn't need it because she was very excited about being a part of the team again. So we received her $10,775 investment the next week. So,
Jack, what area is she from?
she lives in Johnson County, and she had been the city administrator for, I never can remember it, Lake Lottawanna, thank you. And I think her husband worked for MARC, Mid-America Regional Council, in transportation. So she has a public administration degree. So we're excited about her leadership in Baser. So, because clearly I think clearly to me, but clearly, and not clearly to you and some others, but we're stronger when we're all together.
That's right.
And the organization is certainly stronger, but when we all are heading in the right direction, the same direction, then that's a good thing, so.
Yep.
Some projects that we've been working on locally, Project Precision. This was a KCADC, Kansas Department of Commerce project. Big project, 565 jobs. We were a finalist for the project. We had 2 site visits, in addition to the 2 other companies that came in the middle of the year. So this was the third that looked at the new business park here. And then we gave 2 additional presentations to them. The bullet point here is Leavenworth's been eliminated, virtually eliminated, probably eliminated. They have not made a final decision on location. So I suppose it isn't over till it's over, but likely eliminated. We got our new park, though, in front of one of the leading site location consultants in the country. So we're very pleased with that. Understand that he may have another project, so he's certainly, and I'm going to talk about marketing in a minute. If you can get somebody to actually work a project and see and stand on the ground and look at what you have to offer, we don't need to send him brochures anymore because he knows what we have. So, Project Levitt, which is the USDA, Department of Agriculture headquarter facilities, 620 jobs. We submitted the new park in August. We understand that 67 of what the federal government calls 136 expressions of interest remain. One of those 67 would be the Kansas City greater Kansas City region or area as submitted by the Kansas City Area Development Council. So there were communities that went on their own that submitted, and there were some in Kansas, I think, that are no longer being considered. We thought it might be good, even though we have our peers and competitors under that umbrella, at least the umbrella has moved forward, and so I think we have a better shot of it if we tag along and hitch up with Kansas City Area Development Council. So that's what we did, and that was announced in the middle of March. So we'll see how fast that progresses, but at least something's happening if they've eliminated half of the submittals. Project Galaxy is a cold storage facility, 50,000 square feet, 20 to 40 jobs, not a lot of jobs, but something that would fit on about 10 acres. We submitted the Gary Carlson Business Park and Tonganoxie Park. We've had several contacts with the consultant out in Los Angeles beginning in June of 2018, about every month or two. I'll call them or they'll call us If they haven't heard from me in a couple months, they'll call and just say, is the land still available? And so our answer is, of course, it is. Project Spark, this is a Kansas Department of Commerce project, 265,000 square feet on 15 to 25 acres. A huge project, 780 jobs. They are now focusing on one Kansas City area community. So I heard formally from the Department of Commerce, Barb Hake today, because everybody would love something that only needs 15 acres and would generate almost 800 jobs, high-wage jobs that would be office, assembly, manufacturing, training, all in one. But right now, there is a site that they are negotiating on. So again, kind of like Project Precision, it's not over until it's over, and so we'll await word from Barbara. And then we got these three, just 1, 2, 3, 2 from KCADC and 1 from just directly. We got a call from the Site Selection Guild out of Dallas, call center projects, and different call center projects. And some call center projects are $10, $12 an hour jobs, and some are $40,000 a year jobs. In a way, the contact center, the CPAC, the Patient Account Center, is a call center of sorts. So we're not sure, except we do know that I think Project Big Swing is, well, I'm not sure which one, whether it's Project Outer Space or Project Big Swing. One is health occupations, and you must have a bachelor's degree to work there. So these would be higher wage jobs. And each of them are looking for 30 to 60,000, 30 to 50,000, and then Project Echo that came in from Site Selection Guild had actually seen the First City Center on our website and called for more information and a floor plan. And so we called the owner to make sure that we had the updated floor plan, and there's 34,658 square feet available in the building still. Important dates coming up. Thursday morning, 7:30, I'll be at the KCADC Smartport industry briefing. There'll be about 500 plus folks there, so it'll be yet another networking opportunity. KCADC listening tour, we invited them to our board meeting, which is coming up April 11th, and we moved it from this room to Riverfront and invited more of our investors in LCDC to come, because this is an opportunity for KCADC that's spending the year listening and then working to rebrand their message to the outside world of what Kansas City is. And so it was our opportunity, because they have had several of these focus groups, or KCADC has, and so Martin Meany, Jonathan Connect, Ashley Hand, who do the pure marketing, the kind of well, I don't know what the fun stuff is, but the marketing, not the selling, but the marketing, they'll come in and do a focus group. And it's free to anybody who wants to come and weigh in on what they think what are the strengths of the greater Kansas City area. For example, I've been through a couple of these, and one thing that's come up is choice. I mean, you can have a rural lifestyle and still, you're 30 or 40 minutes from Major League Baseball or a football game. Mm-hmm. There's just so much to do in the metro area, but it's not an overly congested metro area because we're so spread out. Great transportation, culture. So anyway, I thought it might be fun to open it up for more people. If folks want to have lunch, it's $10, and we'll start at 11:30, and then at noon the meeting will start. And instead of having a 60-minute meeting, we'll have a 10 or 15-minute business meeting. We'll try to get through that quickly and then have 45 minutes or so for Martin and his team. Then on May 7th, there's a Kansas Community Outlook event put on by Wichita State. We are not co-sponsoring it, but we are participating as presenters. This was a call, I got a call, Paul got a call. I think Paul and Taylor worked out an arrangement at Riverfront. And if anybody, so it's $50 per person. If anybody here is interested, here's some, the website, thank you, Carla, that you can sign up online to come. It'll be 3 hours, and a couple years ago, they came to Johnson County to do one of these, and this year, they're actually in several communities, Atchison, they've done one already in Lawrence, and so they're coming our way May 7th. KCADC Real Estate Council event will happen August 28th. We have our golf tournament tentatively scheduled for September 18th. SIOR, the Society of Industrial and Office Realtors event that I'll be attending September 26th. Team Kansas Lunch, the Kansas Department of Commerce will be going to Chicago on October 17th. I've signed up for that, as well as a dinner on November 7th. And then we have a tentative date of our VIP event on November 15th. And then the branding. The branding continues. And I'm going to spend just a couple minutes, in just a couple minutes to show you the website. But over on the left is the home page to our website. So we have a brand new website. We have brand new logo. We have a new brochure. We have ads in Site Selection magazine, online ads that are running, I think, every week in the Metro Wire, and a lot of people read that in the Kansas City area. And then over on the bottom right-hand corner is the brochure that they put together for the new business and technology park. There's a sample print ad. This ran in Site Selection magazine in the November issue. Circulation of 48,700. So it is the premier publication. It's a little more expensive. We've never been in it, but we figured with our investment, now would be the time. The bullet points state new state-of-the-art park, shovel-ready, northwest corner of the Kansas City Metro, and incentives available. So just quick and to the point. We are working on a video mailer, and I wanted to give you an example of what it might look like. It's probably not going to be this book that I received last year when LoopNet and CoStar joined forces, but I got this really nice mailer package. I open it up, and then you open it up this, and you've got...
Two things connect.
Yeah.
Greater than their parts.
So...
Together, they make things happen.
We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do our drone videos, try to put them together in a short video, so when you open up our mailer, the site location consultants and industrial and commercial brokers will see that. I'm thinking maybe pick and choose who gets them, because we probably could only afford 100 of these. So there'd be the premier, maybe 50 of the site location consultants.
Why would you even do that? Why wouldn't you just do the links for everybody?
The link?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to be impactful and do something that other people aren't doing, except these guys did it. But yeah. No, we're doing links. For example, I was at the Big 12 tournament. We hosted 10 site consultants. Everybody got a link to the new park, the new, So we're trying on a lot of different fronts. So yeah.
Can I ask a question on your, overall on your marketing efforts? You know, one of the great success stories has been cereal ingredients, correct? And Bob Hatch as the owner. Has he been highlighted in his firm, I mean, in some of the marketing that you've done? And I was just thinking, has he given a testimonial? I mean, I've been thinking about that for a couple of years, but I just wondered whether that's a technique or that you've used as far as your marketing.
Yeah, it is. We've had stories about cereal ingredients in some of these national publications. Those where you buy an ad, then they do an editorial piece on you. So we've done that, and then on our old website, we actually had Bob and a lady from Peruvian Connection and Bill Geiger talk about the environment. So, but that's a good reminder because there probably are more opportunities to
Yeah, I was
talk
looking at
about.
that, you're gonna go to Chicago and then Boston and things like that. I know you can't spend a lot of time on it, but I think it is a success story, and we might as well tout it, so.
Well, I'll give you another example. When we did a Team Kansas event a couple years ago where we brought in food focused site consultants, that's what they did, is locate food processing plants. They came into Kansas City, we had a lunch, and then we went on a bus to Topeka, toured Frito-Lay, went to Emporia on the bus, toured the Hostess Twinkie plant, and then continued on the bus to the concert in the Flint Hills,
Yes.
with the Kansas City Symphony, and they loved it. Well, they didn't come this far north on this bus tour, but we got Bob Hatch. I invited Bob to speak to the group at their initial luncheon. So Bob's hard to forget, and we try to use him, absolutely. And these pieces that we've been showing you, Candid Marketing out of Kansas City won 2 Fountain Awards for their LCDC work. The single ad won an award, and then the whole brand campaign. And the brand campaign also was a finalist for the People's Choice Award, and they just received that from ANA Business Marketing and American Marketing Association of Kansas City on March 7th. So we're happy to be with award-winning folks, and they get what we do. They understand the business, and so that has resulted in some pretty positive, let's see if I can find the website. Yep. Some pretty positive materials, we think. I just wanted to show you briefly our website. We did hire a professional photographer out of Kansas City to take about 600 or 700 photographs inside and outside. That's a central bag, external shots on a beautiful day. It was a great day. Hallmark cards. That's Bob Hatch's warehouse at Cereal Ingredients in the Business Park. And so that's the first thing that you see. And then if you scroll down, there's information on, labor basin of 380,000 employees, minutes away from 6 interstates, and centered in the animal health corridor, shovel-ready business parks. And then if you scroll down, you don't even have to go to the top and available properties. You can just look at Leavenworth, Lansing, and Tonganoxie, and I'll remind everybody, when we put this together, Baser was not a member, and these are things that happen when you leave, and we'll get them back on, because they are a valued partner again. But the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park, if you can print this PDF, and then if you click here, you get a drone video, and it has music, but we have the music muted, so I could hum a tune, but they're about 60 seconds, and
Nice.
what we're going to do next is take these videos, and we are hiring an engineering firm to put 3-dimensional buildings on
Good.
the property, so that when the drone goes,
You can see what it,
exactly, here's a place for a 100,000 square foot building, here's a place for a 50,000 square foot building. And so we're gonna do it in Gary Carlson, just off there to the east, as well as the new park, in addition, Tonganoxie.
That bullet point about the airport's important too.
yeah.
So,
it is,
yeah,
near the airport.
absolutely.
New airport eventually.
New airport.
2023.
Absolutely. So there's that, and then the Gary Carlson Business Park, of course, looks a little different because it's a mature park, but there are opportunities there, and it's the same concept, established 80-acre business park, and we have, Port Authority has 4 lots available. You can kind of see who your neighbors are. That's a 3-acre parcel, probably only 2, if that, are buildable. So you could put a 20,000 square foot building there. And then from the north looking south, there's a 5 and a 7.5 acre parcel. And then the 10 acres north of Cereal Ingredients, we have a gentleman's agreement with Cereal Ingredients. We don't have an option. Bob didn't have an option, but before we sold it to anybody else, we'd call him because at some point they may want to expand even beyond where they are now, which is about 180 employees. And it's my understanding that their intention is to be at 200 by the end of the year. So they're continuing. A couple of other things, if you scroll down to demographics, this is for site selectors, so you've got the leading employers, leading industries, distribution, food processing, manufacturing, light industry, incentives. Demographics might be of interest to you. If you click on Leavenworth, they're expressed very nicely in bar charts and pie graphs and stuff. But anybody can access this. You can export it into Excel spreadsheet. You can export it into a PDF. Population, median age, median household income, sex by age, American Indian and Alaskan Native, income distribution, and let's see, I'll do one more here. Let's do quality of life. Poverty by race and ethnicity, average temperatures by month, average rainfall, average snowfall, average daylight. There's a lot of information here. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that we still have our link to our Building and Sites database. The property search sends you to the location one, and then it just has Leavenworth County properties, and you can click on First City Center, and if you want that brochure, you can print a brochure and download it. There's some demographic information based on the address of the building. So these numbers will be slightly different than numbers just down the street. So our board of directors, our investors, and we just added the cities last week. We had the private sector, and we had a discussion, and so that was pretty quick fix. And so we have our community partners in addition to private sector partners, of which we have about 73 now. So that's our website. We're proud of it, but it's really just indicative of this full blast of media on all sorts of different levels. So that's my presentation. Be happy to answer any more questions if you have any.
On the United States Department of Agriculture, what are they looking at for a timeline to make that decision about the two headquarters facilities, do we know?
Don't know, no. I think, was it August that we submitted, and we just heard that they had
Right.
hired a site consultant and then narrowed it down by 50%, so this could take a while.
And what was I gonna ask? Can't remember. We're part of that, we're in that 50%, right? And we're going through, like, we're part of the umbrella of KCADC?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we're still in the competition for that?
Yeah, and Jill McCarthy had nice things to say about our site. She knows that having government employees in our county is a plus. There's all sorts of, we don't have the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but we have people who work in a federal environment, and there's some positives, so. And we have a new park that really can be whatever it wants to be. If somebody like this shows up and it works, then it'll be more of an office park than it will be manufacturing. If we get a good manufacturing client, it may go in that direction, so.
Any other questions for Mr. Jack?
No?
Thank you, Steve.
Sure,
Good presentation. Thank you. We're going to make a slight adjustment here and go to the update on the 600 Shawnee property, next on the agenda.
Yeah, we have Mr. John Clock. He's with Exact Architecture, the firm that's rehabbing the former Immaculata
John,
High
how you doing?
School. So instead, so you don't have to keep waiting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I hadn't been to one of these, so it was interesting to see some of those presentations.
Good.
See what was going on.
Well,
So,
thanks for coming.
yeah,
And we're going to turn it over to you and
perfect.
just give us an overview.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about the mixed-use renovation of the Immaculata High School and Gymnasium addition. It's a pretty interesting site for a mixed-use downtown application. The original school portion, which is the east older portion, will be turned into 38 one- and two-bedroom apartments, and then the addition, 1950s gymnasium cafeteria addition, will be the commercial space. Still working on commercial tenants for that space, but the intent is for kind of a active gymnasium component and mixed with a co-working or maker space component, but it all depends on interest in what we can get in there, but trying to get a mixture of uses for the tenants and then the community as well. So the one- and two-bedroom apartments will be market rate. They'll vary from around 500 square feet to 1,200 square feet, so quite a variety of apartment sizes. And the lot to the north, it is currently empty. They'll be adding a new parking lot with, I believe it's 34 additional parking spots, so there will be 47 total on the property, along with the street parking and shared use of the public lot on the northeast corner. It'll be a historic tax credit project, so it'll be, exterior will be fully restored back to the original school look. So,
Any idea, have you got a gist on what the rents would be yet?
they'll be market rate, so comparable to the area. I don't have an exact answer for you, but they won't price anybody out of the neighborhood or anything.
So it could be comparable to the Broadway School or some
Yeah.
other projects that Caleb's done in
Yes.
Leavenworth.
How many one bedrooms, or most of them one bedroom? Or
It's about 75 one bedroom, 25
Okay.
two bedroom, which seems to be typical, and unfortunately, the 2 bedrooms are the ones that are left unrented in the other projects that Caleb has done, so.
Really?
Which, yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
I figured they would fill up first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we look, go ahead, Bill.
I was just wondering, when do you think the first ones will be rented? When will they be available? I know you got a lot of work to do, but.
Yeah, I'd say
Just ballpark.
beginning of next year to the middle of next year.
Okay.
Really depends on getting a construction schedule and available subs. I know we got a lot of local subcontractors over at the Abernathy School, and they're finishing up through the end of the year. And the Exact and Fouch subcontractor list is pretty similar, so.
Okay, thank you.
Because you haven't started any construction. No construction's been started.
No, they've started some hazmat abatement
Okay.
and constantly boarding up windows,
Things that have
but
to be done
yeah.
but are more minor, but.
Yeah.
But have to be done before the actual construction starts.
Yep.
Well, when do you think Abernathy will be ready? You're involved with that one too, aren't you?
Yeah, Abernathy is a separate developer,
Correct. I know.
but, so they'll have a third of the units ready July 1st, and then
okay.
3 months later, the rest of the building.
Okay. Another 133 in that building, is you?
138,
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay,
and possibly 6 more.
okay.
So, yeah, it's coming along quick.
Okay.
You still sticking with the plans of some commercial?
Yeah, at the Abernathy project, the west single-story portion is still commercial. So there's 2 commercial tenants in there now, Booz Allen and GDIT.
Oh, you think they may stay there, or?
I'm not
Okay, sure.
not too sure on that.
I didn't know that there were some contractors still in there, so.
Yeah,
one thing.
I know GDIT, we finished up their space a couple months ago, and so
Oh,
they
okay.
just moved there.
Oh, okay.
And on the Shawnee property, the finishings will be kind of similar to some of the other projects we've seen with the granite or quartz countertops and.
Yeah, there'll be
Hardwood floors.
granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, kind of the mid to upper range units, luxury vinyl. Tile will reuse some of the hardwood floors in the school. Since it's a historic tax credit project, the multicolor chapel lights on the exterior will stay, so that'll be
Good,
kind of
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
Once that construction starts, I guess we'll deconflict traffic and all that kind of business. I mean, I don't know if it will have an impact on, do we think it'll have an impact on traffic and kind of the?
They'll work with our building department to come up with a plan, but I'm sure they can use the alley probably quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, the alley, the empty lots, the parking lot will be completed at the end of the project, so they can use some of their staging
Oh, okay. Okay.
and storage there, and
Good.
I'd imagine.
When was the original building built? Was it 1927?
24.
24.
1924.
Yeah, I saw that
Okay.
in our church bulletin the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
95 years old.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you for coming.
thank you.
And unless you have anything else, we appreciate you coming, and feel free to come back and give us an update
Okay,
at some point.
sounds good. Well, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
The next is the semi-annual report convention, Leavenworth Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Tonight we have Christy Lee, our CVB director.
Good evening,
Hi,
Commissioners.
Christy, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Where's the,
Click view at the top, view on the menu.
The top bar.
oh, that top bar. Every computer's different. Thank you. Well, it's good to be here tonight. Wanted to kind of give you an overview on the travel industry itself, and then, of course, the state of Kansas travel update, some reviews and year-end report from 2018, and then just a few things that we have going for 2019. So travel industry in general seems to be doing pretty well yet. They are still saying that it grew 3.6% year over year in December. The domestic leisure travel is still increased. Just like Steve, I guess I have some statistics to share with you, so bear with me. Still showing that leisure travel still accounts for 80% of all U.S. domestic travel. So basically travel in general is still doing pretty well. Lodging industry is still, according to STAR, which is the Smith Travel Research Industry, it's one of the larger research conglomerates that shares all of the travel industry information across the country. So usually whenever I get my reports or anything, I always buy them from STAR because they're the most up-to-date reports. They're still showing increased revenue, total room revenue increased 3.9%, and then room demand also increased.
Christy, do you want to advance that,
I do.
please? Okay.
Sure. There we go.
Yep.
Travel technology is just 10 years ago, we weren't anywhere near what we've got today. I mean, the computer has, the handhelds, your telephone, your cell phones, everything is just really unprecedented growth in the travel industry itself. Just helping people navigate the whole worldwide travel and that. So just innovating the way people book their travel. Some of the giants, of course, are your Orbitz, your Travelocity, TripAdvisor, Expedia. The bloggers, the social influences that are out there just continue to implement or affect travel now and going forward. So I think who knows where it's going to go in another 10 years. I mean, it's just growing by leaps and bounds. The top two spending categories still continue to be your food services, your restaurants, and lodging. Consumer confidence, it ebbs and tides just with the economy, just like everything else does. But they're still predicting that as long as employment remains low and holds up and housing remains strong, that our tourism industry will remain strong. So just like everything else, it does ebb and flow with the economy. Your domestic travel, a third of your travelers indicated that they would be traveling more in 2019. However, that does seem to be down 37% from 1 year earlier. So that's an anomaly, I think, but I still think the domestic travel is everywhere else is showing increasing. So it's the sustaining momentum along with everything else. The hospitality industry is approaching 10 years of consecutive growth. And so there's always that chance or that the optimism is starting to web and wane a little bit on that at some point it's going to have to see a downturn. So we'll see where that goes. We'll keep our eye on it and make adjustments where we can. The Kansas tourism industry as a whole had a pretty good year in 2018. They welcomed over 37 million visitors to the state. Their ad campaign and their marketing campaign that they put out for the year, over 10 million print ad impressions, 46 million digital ad impressions, 1.5 million page views on their website, which we have 5 different headings that we continue to run with the State Office of Tourism on their website. So that actually on our Google Analytics, when you look it up as far as the number one place where we get referrals from, it is from the state website. So that's actually working for us. Total publications distributed that the state does 776,000 publications distributed. We're actually in several of those publications. One of their main ones is the State Visitor's Guidebook, which they print over 400,000 of those. So along with several other, the byways, the there's a whole list of them that they actually distribute in that. So, and we do try and participate in most of them. 1.2 million social media impressions on all their social networks that they have, and 616 million in state and local tax was generated by the tourism industry in 2018. Having grown for 8 straight years in Kansas, visitor spending is now 44% higher than the level seen in 2009, with a growth of more than $2 billion. Just another breakdown of where some of those dollars are being spent. 1.1 billion is on lodging, 1.7 billion on food and beverage, and 1 billion on retail, 1 billion on recreation, and then 1.9 billion then on the transportation and that. So for a total of 6.8 billion basically spent on the tourism industry for 2017. They're always lagging a little bit. It costs a lot of money for them to do their research reports and that. So, but again, it looks, those numbers will continue to grow just a little bit for 2018 as well. Then they do break it down even a little bit further. Purpose, they're showing that 63% of the people visiting Kansas were leisure, 37% were businesses, and then they break it down day and overnight stays, 24%, day trips, 75% overnight trips, and then your visitors by market, domestic and your international. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. If you were, I put a little note at the top there, if you were stacking the 6.8 billion $1 bills, it would reach over 460 miles high. So that's kind of crazy.
It's a healthy amount of cash.
Yeah, healthy amount. Mm-hmm. So as far as the number of jobs supported by tourism in the state of Kansas, that's continued to grow as well. We are currently at 884 jobs that are directly related to tourism in the Leavenworth County. And then visitor spending in millions for Leavenworth County amounted to the $58 million, $58.6 million in 2017. And then it does break it down further. I mean, you can kind of read the lodging, food and beverage, and then that will equal that 58 billion just for the Leavenworth County. And then the 6.8 or 6.7 billion for the state.
It's million for the county, right?
It's million.
Yep.
Million for the county, and then billion for the state.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Leavenworth statistics for 2018, we had approximately 240,000.9 visitors for 2018. Again, and those figures are in cooperation with the C.W. Parker Carousel Museum and with the Visit KC and their research showing that 12% of the people visiting any destination or area visit museums. So that's where I extrapolated that number from. We had, for 2018, 1.8 million print ad impressions with all the different print ads that we do, 3 million digital ad impressions, including the billboards. We also had 110,000 website views, 165,000 social media impressions, 15,000 visitor guidebooks distributed, and of those, 278 were individual requests, which I thought was pretty good. 6,000 so far visitor guidebooks distributed for 2019, and we'll continue to send those out throughout the year. And again, down there, that top referral sites, that travelks.com, and then the city's website, and then the county's website are our top 3 referrals. The budget expenditures by function, 78% of my budget basically last year was spent on marketing. Operational then was 1%, administrative was 15%, and then 6% was reserves. So top 5 pages on our website, events, USP, attractions, Fort Leavenworth, and restaurants. Our events page gets a ton of visits, so it's a really good tool for the community and for anybody looking for things to do in the area. It's really been, I think, a good tool for everyone to use. Top 5 states visiting us, again, we're extrapolated from what the C.W. Parker keeps track of throughout the year as far as people signing in on their visitors log and stuff. So that kind of gives us an idea of who's visiting us. and from where. So our occupancy has dropped a little bit, but hopefully we'll pick that back up and get back up in the 60% range.
What do you
This
think,
year,
what do you think that's due to? Do you have any idea? It's about a 10% drop, right?
Yeah.
From 2017 to 2018. If you don't, that's fine, but.
it ebbs and, with your transient guest tax, it ebbs and flows as well. However, I do think a lot of that might, because right now, and I don't know, the Holiday Inn Express on Fort now has to be completely full before they start coming out into our hotel, so I don't know if that's taking some of the traffic. I don't know if it would make up 10% or not, it shouldn't,
Sure.
but that might have a little bit of a bearing on it. And hopefully, next year's report, we will be able to use our 4 hotels, because I'm still kind of supplementing it with one other hotel.
that.
But the hotel that I'm supplementing it with also has one of the military contracts. There were the 10 hotels that got it, and they were one of them. So I tried to use one that was the closest to the town place, that, as far as room nights and everything, to try and help, average out our numbers as much as possible.
Do all our hotels in the city of Leavenworth have a military contract or no?
No, just the Hampton and the Home 2 right now.
Okay.
And our Marriott properties do not. So the average daily rate is increasing, which is good. Our total revenue is also increasing, which is good. And then our transient guest tax collected is increasing as well. And again, with those numbers, approximately 38% of the transient guest tax is still exempt due to federal bookings.
I look at 2017, 2018, 66%, 2/3 occupancy, down to 56%.
Mm-hmm,
That's,
10%.
Really almost a 20% drop. I mean, it's 10% there, but it's actually 20% less. But then I look at the revenue and room nights, and the opposite. Are
And
these
they went
numbers
up.
right? How can,
According to the Star,
occupancy, if it's a finite number of rooms,
right,
and I go from 65,000 to 78,000 room nights in 1 year, and there's a finite amount of rooms, how can that occupancy be down?
I can confirm that. I mean,
Yeah.
I can check again with Smith Travel Research, and
Yeah.
that basically they put these numbers out there, and that's where I got those
Okay,
numbers from. So,
You got an idea?
I would think that we are having more taxable room nights, just in general.
Okay.
yes, I would agree with that.
I know the transit guest tax is, as everyone is aware, has made a very applaudable change from just 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can remember sitting in here 10, 15 years ago,
absolutely.
looking at 25,000 for the year.
Yeah. Right.
And we thought, well, we're doing pretty good. But when you sit and look at the figures that you got on there now, it makes you feel real good. And what we can do with economic development.
It's a big difference, yes. But I'll confirm those numbers, and if there's a change, I'll let you know.
Yeah, and from my understanding that the tax, for it to be non-taxable, it has to be direct billed to the military.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not direct billed, then they're still paying the transient guest tax. So
Yep.
there may be
That makes sense.
more of those stays, or even just more leisure travel.
But if I look at just the revenue right here, the revenue talks, says 2017, 65,000 room nights, almost 66. 2018, 78,000. And the next one is transit guest tax. I can understand that, because if you are on a government contract and a direct bill, you don't get it. But still, there's a 20% increase, 17 over 18. So I'm not questioning you, Ms. Lee. But I'm just saying,
okay.
that something doesn't, mathematically, this doesn't work for me.
Okay.
On occupancy versus revenue and transit guest tax, when it talks about room nights.
There's probably a couple more that the revenue per, RevPAR, revenue per available rooms. There's a couple other statistics I can include on this that maybe help shed some light on some of that. Overall, how many rooms are available throughout the year, and some of that versus where that 56%. It shouldn't make that big a difference, but like the Candlewood Suites at Kansas City Speedway had 98 rooms, and our town place only has 87, so there would be a little bit of a gap between the overall room, how many rooms, available rooms, versus our 87, and how that would figure out into the whole equation. But, because, yeah, we have booked more room nights, but our percentage of occupancy was down. So,
And the thing that Christy and I have been excited for is now that we're going to have 4 Leavenworth hotels online for a whole year, we'll actually be able to get really good statistics, because we've had to supplement it with.
we've had to
Right.
supplement it with
The
weird
Holiday
numbers
Inn or-
and,
Yeah.
different numbers of
Yeah, that could
rooms
be-
and, and out of town and, like this one's at the Speedway and, so yeah, it will be, I'm anxious to be able to just use figures from our 4 hotels as well. But I'll confirm those numbers for you.
Thank you.
We attended 9 trade shows in 2018. Some group-oriented, media-oriented, leisure, and meetings. So tried to hit all of those. The sports end of it, we are members of Sports Kansas, and they actually, on behalf of Sports Kansas, attended some of those. I never attended them myself in person, however, we were included in a lot of their profile sheets and such that they hand out. We were included as a member from that. I just didn't add that as a trade show that we attended. Some of the total tours to Leavenworth last year, we had 25 group tours, we had 5 meetings and 3 sports. Direct economic impact from those, $52,889.95. And what I mean by that is we actually have a spreadsheet, and so out of those 25, 5, and 3, the people that we brought in, we put like $40 for our tour operator. We put lunch at the depot, lunch at this or whatever. So whatever those groups did, that's the direct economic impact that they spent when they were here. However, that didn't include if they went to the gift shop or if they bought gas or if they did anything else. So there's always monies above and beyond that. So taking those 2,671 people, if you took that times $75 per day per person, then just averaged it out, you're looking at about $200,325. And then also just another statistic or estimate, basically, if you had the 240,900 estimated visitors to Leavenworth and you took that times $75 per day, you're looking at about 18 million.
So just very generally, when the 25 group tours, when they come to the city of Leavenworth, do they look at or want to see the same things, or are there something?
They're all different.
Okay.
They are all different. Like, we actually just booked a tour today, and they're only gonna be here 3 hours.
Okay.
And so they say that they wanna go to the Richard Allen Cultural Center, they wanna,
Different.
do this. Some of them call and they already have an idea of what they wanna see and do. And other ones are saying, well, what do you suggest?
Okay.
And so then we, depending on time and how much time, what they have available to them is we'll make the itinerary fit the time allotted that they have.
Okay, thank you.
So some of our marketing co-ops that we're looking at doing for 2019, in fact, I'll be meeting with these in just the next couple of days, but the Kansas City, Kansas Convention and Visitors Bureau, Bonner Springs, and us kind of are working together on doing a Girlfriend's Getaway theme for 8 travel bloggers. And they'll be coming to Leavenworth on May 17th. But basically, we're kind of co-oping this and working together. So they'll be either flying in or driving in, spending a day in Kansas City, Kansas, spending a day in Bonner Springs, and then spending a day in Leavenworth. And they'll be blogging about it the whole time and everything. So we're kind of excited. This is like a big media fam tour for us that we're participating in this year. So I'm really excited. And I've actually visited with Carrie at Kansas City, Kansas, about possibly doing this with group tour as well. So we'll see. But this, we're gonna try and see how it goes with the travel writers and go from there, so. The I-70 Association is continuing with campaigns. They're also going to be hiring 1 or 2 travel bloggers this year to travel all of I-70. And we're a member of that, so we'll get some exposure from them as well. But they also, throughout the year, every publication that I-70 is in, and that we are included in as a member of. We're on their website, we're on everything that they do, and they go into the state a lot of the state print publications that they do as well. So we're included as a member from that angle. One of the Facebook campaigns that we'll be doing this year, May through August, I'll be working with each hotel to host one of those months, and then we'll do a free hotel night and dinner, and that kind of a weekend getaway in Leavenworth, and that sign up to win, and we'll do one May, June, July, and August. So that should be kind of fun for a summer campaign. And then the Kansas City Regional Destination Alliance, I kind of highlighted this one last year. We were doing the coffee passport, and we were doing the history passport this year. So, and then next year I believe we'll be doing unique finds. So continue to work, again, a partnership with KCRDA, which is the Kansas City Regional Destination Alliance, and there's, I believe, 12 members of that, 12 area convention and visitor bureaus. So far, some of our group tours that we've booked for 2019, I've listed them all there, and like I said, we just got another one today, so that will increase by one, but this goes all the way from March through November, and I'm sure we'll pick up a couple of more between now and then. I mean,
Yours is in there?
What's that?
Ours is in there.
Yours is in there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, on
good.
that.
Class reunion.
Good
We won't
deal.
say which year, right?
Yeah.
I know it does.
Yeah.
We won't publicize it out here, yeah. That, year looks familiar, though.
And then some of the meetings that we've booked so far, we've worked with the Public Affairs Organization and Melissa Bauer here at the city and helped her organize that one on Fort. And then tomorrow, actually, the Kansas City Regional Destination Alliance will be meeting here at Tenpenny for a meeting. And then the Libertarian Party of Kansas will be meeting at the Riverfront Community Center on April 12th and 13th. And that's going to be about 100 plus, and there will be hotel stays with that conference. So a couple that we're working on as well, so hopefully we'll be able to report on them next time.
I did have a question on the byway kiosks completed October 2018. Is that the same as the wayside markers?
No,
Okay.
no, different. Those, the kiosks there are in Ray Miller Park.
Oh, okay.
And they're on the Glacier Hills byways and also the Frontier Military Historic Byway.
Okay.
And so there's 6 of them out there, 3 and 3,
Okay.
and, yep, and they're in Ray Miller Park. And it is different than the historic wayside markers.
Those were funded by the state.
Yeah, right, the byway kiosks were done by the state totally, so
Okay.
we had no expense other than some site prep that Parks and Rec did out there, but other than that, it was all
But on the
funded by
wayside
the state.
markers, last year they were updated, right?
Right.
In fact, I did
Yes.
one the other
Yep.
day up on the Esplanade, the North Esplanade. Worked fine, it's easy.
Oh, good,
Right, so,
good, yeah,
In terms of just dial the number and the rest.
and listen to it.
Right.
Yeah,
so.
good.
How many of those do we have?
We have 20.
Okay.
20, and then the fort also has some.
Right.
So,
Because that was like a project we did. in
it was a
conjunction
project that we completed last year as well,
Yeah, that's
so,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was-
I did one for the prison, but somebody shot a hole through it.
Recent?
No, not since you.
Oh, I'm like, what?
No,
Literally shot a hole through it.
literally shot a hole through it.
No, it was very clear. In fact, it was about Susan B. Anthony and, you know.
Oh, okay,
and
good,
D.R.
Good.
Anthony.
Yes.
So it was interesting, so.
Good.
good, good. Just some of the upcoming trade shows that we have contracted for this coming year, and it will be a busy year for us. So as you can see, I don't even know how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 of them that are listed there. Although the TIAC Tourism Conference isn't really a trade show, but it's a conference. So anyway, any questions on those? Most group-oriented again, group and leisure and meetings. And weddings, actually. So we are trying a weddings trade show. When I've been meeting with the hoteliers on a regular basis, and that they say that almost 20%, about 25% of their bookings are coming from weddings and that. So they were really happy that we were going to try and do a weddings trade show for them, or kind of on their behalf, try and get some more leads as far as that goes. So. Anyway, that one will be in Overland Park in October. So looking ahead, I just wanted to, there's a lot of pretty big anniversaries coming up in the next few years. 100th anniversary, 19th Amendment, Veterans Day Parade, Lincoln's visit to Leavenworth, just a lot of dates that we need to probably be aware of in that.
Oh, we have a festival coming up too.
Yes, our festival, yep, in September. So I just wanted to kind of put those out there and let people know that, to be expecting hopefully some big events in the next couple of years, geared around some of these, anniversary dates and that, so keep your eyes open in that. I know I visited with Lisa Weekly and Mary Ann Brown just the other day in reference to, the 19th Amendment and doing something with that throughout the year, maybe having a big speaker presentation sometime in August in conjunction with the Carroll Mansion and that and the Historical Society. So I think we'll see a lot of good events in the next couple of years. So.
Are you publicizing the city's festival on just in terms of the dates and everything already?
Yes, oh yeah, it's in our visitor's guidebook and that. So yes, it's in as many places as we can.
Okay,
so.
good.
That's my presentation
any
for tonight. Any other
questions
questions?
for
No, good
Ms. Lee?
presentation. Yeah.
No questions, very good presentation.
Thank you for the
Great.
presentation,
Thank you.
Chrissy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do we have 5?
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break.
Sorry, Gary. Chief.
This is a fire department, 100-foot aerial apparatus is the agenda item.
Gary
Yes.
Birch, our fire chief.
Good evening.
Hello, Chief.
The emphasis is on the, Mr. Kramer wanted me to introduce kind of our aerial platform because it is probably the most expensive piece of equipment that we have in our fleet. But I wanted to just kind of digress backwards just a little bit.
Put in context.
And talk kind of where we got to where we're at today. When I came here pre-2016, we had 7 total apparatuses. That was, and I'll show some pictures here in a minute to explain that. We had 3 engines, I call them pumper trucks, 2 quints, and a quint is a pumper with an aerial ladder. And then we had a heavy rescue truck, which basically just a truck with compartments and stuff, a lot of equipment on it. And the aerial platform that we're discussing now, which is built in 1990, so it's 30 years old this year. The heavy rescue and the aerial platform did not have pump, hose, or water. They didn't have pumping capabilities. So of the 7, we had only 5 that had pumping capabilities, which I like to have redundancy in the system. In fact, right after I got here, we had several trucks starting to break down on us, and we actually got down to 2 trucks with 2 pumps, 3 stations at one point. The 7 apparatuses, and then what had taken place here is every 4 years they would buy an apparatus. So the first thing I looked at, I said, well, 4 times 7 is 28. That means we're going to have trucks, 28 years old, so to speak, before we get rid of it, which kind of exceeds the cycle of life for it, So I didn't really like that plan. Plus, we financed it over 4 years. So like currently when I got here, we had a quint that we were paying on $164,000 a year. And then we had budgeted, they had figured kind of a placekeeper, $146,000 for the purchasing a pumper truck going forward. Well, then I looked at this aerial platform and I said, well, shoot, that's, 1.4 roughly, and then divide that by 4, that's $350,000 a year. So I just started looking and just kind of crunching numbers a little bit. And I'll get just a little bit more into that. But this is we call them engines here. Some departments call them pumpers, but it has, 500 gallons of water, pump, hose. Basically, it's got 3 things, triple combination. That's a pumper truck.
Just for my edification, pumper truck carries 500 gallons.
Yes, you can spec them with different amounts, but we
But in a fire, 500 gallons isn't that great amount, but you can hook up to the fire hydrant and pump it through that truck.
Right.
Okay.
And boost the pressure. That's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you get on that fire quick, you can get her knocked down too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always lay out a hydrant too, just to have backup water.
Okay.
Fire hydrant. This was one that we got rid of. We traded in when we got the new fleet in 2017. And this is our new engine here, new pumper truck here. So there's quite a difference there.
Yeah.
And when you get older like that too, you start fixing a lot of things more than just the maintenance. Seats wear out, seat belts wear out. There's a lot of things you're doing. So you also have a lot of downtime with that rig too, when it's in the shop. When I say a quint, basically it's the same as a pumper. It carries water, hose, pump, and sometimes on these quints, some of them will just have 300 gallons of water, but you can spec them out a little bit more too. And then it has that aerial ladder on there, and then it has a larger complement of ground ladders, which makes 5 things a quint, hence the quint. And when I came here, we actually had 2 quints. That was one of them we traded in, and we had the platform. So we had 3 aerial devices when I came here. Okay.
How long is that aerial platform?
75 foot.
Okay.
The quints are 75 foot. And the one we currently have is Station 175. If you go any longer than 75, you have to get a tandem axle on the back because of the braking and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And there's Quint 1. It's in the Prairie. That's the one at Station 1 right now. Just a newer version there. That was one we were paying off $164,000 a year when I got here over 4 years. They had bought this. This was a demo unit, so they got a little bit less. It wasn't quite as expensive. And this is the truck in question right here. It's a 1990 apparatus. It doesn't have pump, hose, or water. We keep it at Station 2. It's a 102-foot aerial. We have an independent company come in, and in fact, they service the whole metro area all around the country called STI. They have engineers stuff, and they come and they test them every year. They put it's a load bearing. It's a non-destructive load bearing test. And I will just say, this truck is not staffed. It's only if we needed it, and since I've been here, we've had it out like 3 times on actual calls. Somebody has to come in and drive it, or we drop somebody off from another station on the way and have them drive it in. If we drove it any more than what we do, we'd probably have a lot more issues. In fact, it's actually out of service right now as we speak, because we've got so many hydraulic leaks with the cylinders and stuff. And so we've got a lot of issues with it.
When you say it has no pump, hose, and water?
Correct.
So.
It carries a lot of equipment, and it's got 102 foot for elevation. Now, it's got nozzles and piping, so one of the pumper trucks would pump into it.
Okay.
So it had, so it would have elevation.
Okay.
Elevation water. On this particular truck, I put 100, but it's a 102 foot aerial platform. It's a 90, it has no water pump or tack lines. And of course, it has less safety features. It's just a lap belts, it doesn't have the 3-point seat belts, it doesn't have airbags, it doesn't have a backup camera, crew cab, the 2 seats in the back are jump seats facing backwards. And it doesn't have, the newer cabs got insulation for sound to help with your hearing, as far as air horns and your sirens and things of that nature, so it's pretty old. One of the things that Paul asked me to touch on is what these trucks are actually used for, because it isn't just about rescue, but there's a lot of other things. But every fire you go to is different. There's no exact situation that we go to, but there's some basic things we call incident priorities that never change. One being life safety. So we always look at that first when we get to emergency scene. And this truck, of course, could be used for, if we can reach the building, for search and rescue, upper story floors, balconies, windows, things of that nature. It also, not just fires, but also, and I'll show you a picture in a second, for medical emergencies. Say someone's roofing a building, 3-story, 4-story building somewhere, and they get hurt, have a heart attack. We can actually put that basket up there and put them in the basket and lower them down, versus trying to climb down a ladder. Just access. And also sometimes a body of water, something stranded, you got a lot of reach and stuff, you can go out and it actually go with negative and help maybe rescue somebody from a body of water. On a fire control situation, you got elevated stream, you got nozzles, that'll flow 1,000 and 1,500 gallons per minute. If you had a major fire, one of the things I always think about downtown little buildings, you're going to have a lot of embers and stuff flying, so you get that up and trying to knock down some of them embers and stuff and protect the surrounding structures. So usually that's what you're trying to do, is protect the exposures. And then also you can use it for a direct attack. You can move that basket around if you needed to shoot up inside a window and stuff, up elevated. That gives you that ability too. It's also like having a standpipe on the outside, because you can also pull it up the window as high as you want. You can get it, and you can take a hand line into a window or something, an opening off the truck, and go right in too. So it's like an elevated standpipe for upper floors. And then, of course, horizontal attack, like I said, shooting into windows and stuff. One of the big things too with fire control is ventilation, getting things ventilated. So it helps you get things ventilated rather quickly from a safe platform versus from a ladder or climbing around on a roof. You have safer for your roof access. This is a newer version of that same truck platform. You can see like over a body of water, something of that nature. There's the typical house fire. This isn't here, but it's very similar to some of the stuff we have, but it just gives you the ability to do things a little bit safer than ground ladders and stuff. And just depicts the guy actually is ventilating the hole with a saw, and he's actually standing, he's actually standing in the platform and stuff if something was happening. It's also got a nozzle down below that was like a shower curtain. They have water, so you could open that up if fire was to break through or something of that nature. But just a couple of pictures that I pulled. Do you have any questions? I know I'm talking awful fast, so doing okay.
That's
okay.
good.
One of the things too I wanted to touch on is the ISO, which is a public protection classification, and insurance companies hires a company. They come in and do a rating of your community, and then they assign a number to it called your ISO rating, and then your insurance companies base their rates and stuff on that. Leavenworth has been a class 2 since I look back at quite some time. We're going through an audit right now as we speak. We're going through it. In 2011 was the last time they were here, about 8 years ago, and we're Class 2. And in the country, there's less than 1% of cities and communities that are a 2. So, I mean, that's something really prestigious. 1 and 2, as far as rates, usually you drop 2 categories, then it may notice a difference. And a lot of times, mainly it's on commercial property. If you drop more than 2 or go up more than 2, you see a difference in your fire insurance,
Right.
yes.
I think the ISO is what, International Standards Organization? It's like a,
ISO, like ISO
It-
14,000.
right.
That's
Okay.
all it is.
yeah, so,
Insurance Services Organization.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's
Oh, this-
insurance? Okay. this is
Insurance
not ISO,
Services
like
Organization.
manufacturing, yeah.
okay, yeah, I'm glad I asked, 'cause I would have thought it.
But what they look at is they look at 3 things, basically. They look at your dispatch center communication, how many phone lines they got coming in, you know, their technical data, the CAD system, computer-aided dispatch and things of that. And the number of people on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that represents 10% of this point system.
Yeah.
40% is the water distribution. And we're still needing to get out there and do some flow tests for them. And, but I've explained to them, we've kind of been through a flood situation and we're a little delayed on that. But, the water, they look at the amount of gallons of water available over, a certain gallons per minute over a 2-hour duration and things of that nature. So that counts for 40%. And the engineers with the water department has helped us fill out some of the forms and stuff that we needed to turn into them. 50% is the fire operations, and it's just not fighting fires, but they look at our training hours and where we train, how many times we use our training tower, the types of training, and they won't count all the training like we do, like extrication, cutting people out of cars or something. It's more fire-related stuff, so not everything we do. We do a lot of training in EMS that doesn't pertain to. So look at training, and they look at our inspection program we have, our hydrant annual inspection we have. They look at our public education programs, and everything has a point system to it, so that they look at all that. One of the things they look at also is what code we're in. Well, we're currently in the International Fire Code, and building code here is the 2006. It renews every 3 years. So right now I have the fire marshal working on language and stuff to get us into 2018. Because once it got past 10 years, we get 0 credit for it. It steps down. So I've been actually trying to get that moved forward here last couple of years to get us up. It also, too, when you wait, then it takes a little more effort to figure out, because when we come to you guys, you want to know, well, what's the difference between this one and that one? Well, when you've waited so long, it just, makes it a little more difficult on our part doing our homework. So we're working on that, too. So training, our prevention bureau, fire investigators. Then they look at, we do annual testing certified for the aerials. We do annual hose testing, and we do it every year. And we do annual pump testing. Sometimes, like on the aerials and stuff, you technically, according to the NFP, don't have to do it but every 5 years. But if you do it every year, you get more points. Plus, I feel a lot safer when I've got someone that certifies something every year when you're up 100 feet in the air also. It also says that when you have 3 stories or higher, or need a fire flow, it's a lot of mathematical calculation that I can't figure out, but it's 3,500 GPM fire flow needed for certain buildings, that you need an aerial apparatus. If you have 5 or more buildings that have over 3 stories, then they want you to have an aerial device. And then they look at your staffing, your responding initial areas, things of that nature.
And we definitely have a larger number than that in terms of 3-story buildings, right? Just
Yes, I would just, Planters is 10 stories,
Yes.
Cody's 7, and the VA's 4 or 5 out there. And then, of course, we got
So this is kind of a macro certification process you're going. How often does the department have to go through this?
well, it just ad hoc. We really didn't know they were coming until before Christmas. They called us and wanted information, said they were going to show
They
up.
don't come every year though, do they?
No,
Okay.
it's a long process. And then once we get everything back to them, like I say, we're a little delayed on the water situation right now because of the flooding and stuff, but once we get back, then they'll kick something out. It could probably be like August, and we can kind of look at it a little bit. But unfortunately, we really can't make maneuvers after that because it's what they saw here now. Now, we can dispute stuff and maybe argue a little with them a little bit. Then it goes to like the insurance commission or something with the state, and then it's like another year before rates will ever change. It's not.
How do you think it's going so far?
I'm a little concerned, to be honest with you, about some, it's because it's point systems and just a little concerned. We do a lot of training, and the guys are good about doing stuff on their own. I see them out there all the time. They're not maybe really good about coming back and recording that training. Little things they may not think is training that is, and so it's just getting that recorded. And a few, like I said, the codes and a few other things. To get into the financial side of it, like I said, I mentioned that we were buying one every 4 years and financing it. So we had $146,000 of what was going to be figured. On one, that aerial would be $350,000. So I started just kind of crunching numbers and stuff, and there's kind of the cost. Those were actual costs we paid for our engines there, or three. We had two at $559, and then we got the one that's got a light bar and a light tower and some stuff on it was $578. Those three new trucks together, and they financed it because I figured the life cycle peak. And actually, I was shooting for 4 trucks over 12 years. But at that time, the city manager said that at Newport Richie and College Park and a few other places, they didn't do that. So I never could bring it to you. Boynton Beach, and I don't know. There was a few others. That's kind of an insight. But anyway.
Fans and I get it.
Well, I get it too, because you told me.
The Quints are about 900,000 in the aerial platform, and I'm just basing that on, the Kansas City, the Liberties, Johnson counties that have these now. I'm asking how much they are and stuff, and I talked to the vendors a little bit too on the pricing. So that's real close on the pricing. Trade-in values really go down, and that Quint 5 I showed you, we got, when we traded in, and we got like $37,000 for it. That engine was a 95. We got, I think, $10,000 for that. Now that rescue truck, we got $60,000 on trade-in. There's companies that actually buy used trucks and they refurbish them and things like that. Some of the smaller parts. But at that time, I also had them look at that platform, and they wasn't even interested in buying it because of the age and stuff. So I really don't know where we would end up with that. As far as getting rid of it, be a lot of steel there to trade in on steel. So anyway. This is kind of a cumbersome thing here, so to simplify it, I put this one here. And I had someone kind of look at my thing, and they said, "Man, that's pretty a lot of stuff there, spreadsheet." But basically, pre-2016, the top left there, we had 7 total apparatuses. We had 5 with pump, hose, and water. We had 3 aerials, and using today's value, today's cost of apparatus, the valued at $5.4 million. Okay.
I mean, if we replace those, we get $5.5 million. That's not what their used car value is.
No, that's if we bought them brand new today.
Okay.
That right there. Today, because I traded in that aerial, today we still have 7 total apparatuses. But keep in mind, I wanted to increase my pumping capabilities for redundancy. We have 7 total apparatuses, 6 of which have pump, hose, and water. We have 2 aerial devices. We have the platform and the 1 Quint. And so the difference between an aerial and one that was a pump or an engine, the value of that is $5.1 million. So basically $330,000 less an asset. What I had proposed, with the overall plan, because I looked at the big picture, not looking at one at a time, was once we get another apparatus, like say we replace this platform with a pump, hose, and water on it, it'd be 6 total apparatuses, because I would drop one of our reserve pumpers out of the system. When I only had 5 before, I was a little nervous about doing that, but this would give us 6 total apparatuses, 6 with pump, hose, water capability, 2 aerials. So by dropping that pumper out, that would save another, in the 15-year cycle, savings, because we'd have less to replace over 15 years.
Got it.
That kind of concludes it. So, the main thing is they're very expensive.
Yeah, no kidding.
That one is, and there's some other things that we're not really, with the ISO rating, right now, we may have to change the way we even operate. I may have to move some trucks around like that aerial from where it's currently located to another station. Because where it's located, a lot of if you, because they look at, on the engine, 1.5 road miles, and on the aerial, 2.5 road miles. And I had our GIs just plot the stations and put me a 2-mile circle around it, and we got good overlap. But at Station 1, and I know that's the only area going west that we could ever annex some of that, but a lot of that out there in that 2-mile radius is actually technically out of the city limits. So that hurt us a little bit. Only having a 75-foot aerial versus a 100-foot dinged us a little bit. And then also, since it's a quint and it's out there by itself, we only get partial credit because they give you credit for being an engine first before they do an aerial. So in other words, Station 2 is a double house. We got 3 trucks sitting there. One runs the MS calls from 10th going that way and one coming this way. It would probably make more sense and we'd get some points if we maybe moved that ladder truck to 2s and then moved one of them trucks out there. Just so something that we're talking about. That's what ISO kind of suggested, but they said, but you can do what you want. We also look at another standard, 1710, which is our response time. So we're trying to track numbers now. You know, our goal was to get, and what kind of the national standard is to get for accreditation even, if you can get 90% of your truck, your first truck, 90% of the time, get them there under 6 minutes. And that's when the tones drop, getting on the truck and getting out. And then the rest of the fleet, and they stop the clock when that next truck gets here, 90% of the time, you get there within 9 minutes, the rest of them. And I think we're real close to that right now. So with that would offset it, maybe making a move or something, but I'm just kind of looking at points and what would be the most effective way to utilize it. So we're looking at things like that also.
It sounds like an accreditation process that.
Well, we're not going through the accreditation
Okay.
process, but because it's expensive to do that.
Okay.
And there are departments that do accredit, but I know what they do, and so I try to do things just
Where you
like
can.
accreditation, with not the official thing, you know.
So when's the last year that the fire department for the city of Leavenworth went through this process? Was it in 2006?
2011 for the credit, for the ISO.
Oh, the ISO.
2011, yes.
Okay. And I think this is part of the, in terms of the cost and the requirement and the resources, fiscal resources required is part of the 2020 capital improvements program?
Yes, that's what I'm going to be proposing.
Right.
And there's, the way we've set this up, like when they got the 3 engines
Sure.
in 2016, it was approved for the 2017 budget. But it took over a year to get it. So we actually went 15 and 16 without any payments. I always tell Paul, I just saved you a couple $100,000 right there. We ordered it and it took a little longer. I thought it took, so we didn't get to the first part of 17. They financed that over 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So we were paying $146,000. Our payments now are like $108,000.
Okay.
So a little less. Now, when we purchased this and talking to our current finance director, she'd like to squeeze that down because she'd rather try to pay cash if you go, but she wants to squeeze it down to a 10-year. So it'd be a 10-year thing. So she's looking at for a truck that should last 20 years. Okay. And so with squeezing it to 10 years, and she's figuring, I think 4%, it's about, I asked her today, she's about $175,000. So at that point, you double up on them payments. And then we've got that other Quinn and another engine, a few years out,
Sure.
going for us. So we would end up a little bit of an overlap with 3 payments. Dedicated funding would be nice. That's what Mark Funkhauser would suggest.
Well, that'll be laid out in the budget process, right, as we go forward here in the next 3 or 4 months, so.
Yeah, and it even did, and the money went in the 2020, in 2020 when we ordered it, because we wouldn't even try to order it until after we got the money.
Right.
It would be 2021 before we actually probably took delivery on it.
That's good.
Because they're 12 months out right now. I checked that the other day. So.
Where do they come from?
Appleton, Wisconsin's where the Pierces come from.
Okay.
The ones come from Ocala, Florida.
Okay. Any questions for any other questions for the chief?
Interesting.
No.
No, thanks for a good rundown.
Thank you for a good
Chief,
Thank you very much.
appreciate it.
presentation. Appreciate it.
Before I ask the commissioners if they have anything, could I have our Director of Strategic Communications come up here and just talk a little bit for a minute or so about the 2019 spring cleanup?
Well, it's taking place Saturday, as you know, and we have all the information on our website. I just wanted to bring up one thing to you, that paper shredding is going to be sponsored by Citizen Savings and Loan. The times are on the website too, but it's 10 o'clock to 12:45 at 5151 South 4th Street, and 1 to 2 p.m. at 312 South 4th Street. This is where people can just bring boxes of personal identifying documents and have them destroyed on site.
It's great.
Last year we started, there was a little ceremony beginning at Warren.
Yes,
You still
8:30
do it?
a.m. at Warren Middle School.
Okay.
You guys are all welcome to come.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
The day is beautiful.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is the weather, so.
Did the city manager, assistant city manager have anything?
I don't.
Commissioner Batter?
Yeah, since the county now has 4 out of the 5 commissioners are new commissioners, I am doing a presentation as representative, the county representative, on the Kansas City Area Transit Authority. I'd like to invite you guys if you'd like to come, and city staff. I will be inviting the other cities as well to listen to what has been going on in the region. And it would be good to see all cities represented there.
When is it?
This is April 17th at 9 a.m. during the county commission meeting. We'll be talking about some of the transportation initiatives and growth in the region. So anybody's welcome to come. Thank you.
Good. Commissioner Preisinger?
Just piggybacking a little bit on the spring cleanup, my wife and I always sign up for an area, and we've got, I think it's area 30, whatever that means, but it's basically 18th Street from Ridge Road north to Lecompton, and Lecompton starting at Washington Street, moving west to 20th Street. We've worked it for the last couple of days, my wife and Laura yesterday, and both of us today. We've got 28 or 30 bags. It is absolutely, it's deplorable what people do, the junk that is, and crap that's thrown out. I don't know how we get a handle on it. I don't know if our city's worse than other cities, but when you're out there actually cleaning it up, it's just, it's depressing. And I would just ask people, if anyone's watching now, if you see people do it, shame them. Do whatever it takes. There's just no excuse. We have tires, we have shock absorbers, everything on these regular streets, and we're not mushroom hunting. Somebody stopped my wife today and said, how many mushrooms have you found? But we're not mushroom hunting, but something, once again, if you see people doing it, do something to stop it. Shame them, and please don't do it yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything else, so if there's nothing, Assistant City Manager? No?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, and we'll go ahead and conclude tonight's meeting.